Liberty Nation with Tim Donner.
And now we have reached the portion of Liberty Nation Radio which we entitled Talkin' Liberty, which is, of course, self-explanatory, as is the brilliance of our regular contributor, LibertyNation.com legal affairs editor, constitutional lawyer, Scott Cosenza. Hello, Scott.
Hello, Tim.
Okay, let's jump right in. Great stories this week. Not always great for Liberty, but interesting stories that you don't get almost anywhere else, such as the FBI's infamous list of known terrorists being ruled unconstitutional.
Well, it was a big victory week, the September 11th anniversary week for the Council on American Islamic Relations, Tim, who were behind this lawsuit. They sponsored it on behalf of 23 American citizens, all Muslims, who were on the FBI terror screening watch list of known terrorists, which grew to over 1 million people since it was first started after the September 11 attacks. And the thing about it, Tim, is how do you get on that list? Well, we're not quite sure what the criteria are to add somebody to the list. How do you get off that list? Well, we're not quite sure. How do you get off that list? So if you're an American citizen who's been placed on that list, Tim, you can't fly like a normal person. You can't conduct your life like a normal person. And the judge here says, an individual's placement on the database does not require any evidence that the person engaged in criminal activity, committed a crime, or will commit one in the future. So it's basically a damning indictment about an American where they have no due process rights at all.
What constitutes a known terrorist? What's the definition, the FBI definition, the federal government's definition of a known terrorist?
Well, you can never get that out of them, right? Like, how exactly does a person come to be placed on the list? And the truth is there are people who are authorized to place people's names on this list, and they do so. And that's part of the reason why they have to remove it, Tim, is because of this sort of lack of any kind of due process or rigorous vetting.
Well, now, this all comes at the same time that we're talking about passing red flag laws, which would basically target people without evidence or without clear, hard evidence that they would be stripped of the right to own a gun.
When they're estranged lovers and spouses call and complain on them, that's the evidence that's required with a red flag law. So there is some evidence. I would call it biased and tainted, most likely, and that's why we need robust due process rights to be enforced. So if you're making the case that we're going from retreating from one area where there's a lack of due process and engaging in another, I would have to agree with that wholeheartedly.